Hello and welcome to week 2 of GMHA 603 Healthcare Services Marketing. This week we're going to dive into value. I mentioned it briefly in week 1 as kind of a core to everything we do in marketing and really how we think about our business overall. So before I get into that, I want to share and remind people about the week 1 assignments. So taking a look at that in Blackboard, we know that we have a couple of assignments this week. First of all, you will have finished the survey, and I will be forming teams. And once those teams are formed, you got to work on your team contract. Team contract is due on the 22nd. That is our class day, Wednesday. Asking questions about your project. You should look at the project material in the folder, which I'll show you in a minute, just to kind of develop those questions. There will be 15 questions per person, and then I'll get those back to you. And then the big assignment is our presentation on industry background, pestle analysis, and competitive landscape. And that's going to be due on the 26th, which is a Sunday, right? But you're going to present that material on the 29th in our class session. So for the information on the teams, you can look at in the file folder, syllabus, project points, and biomedical engineering projects. And then open the folder biomedical engineering senior design project information. Here are the details about the projects. Here are the contacts with emails. Again, if you need assistance, don't wait. Give them 2 days, then email me, and I will reach out to them as well. So looking ahead to week 2, as I mentioned, it's about value. So we'll be focusing on delivering value and developing a value proposition statement and doing something called a customer decision journey. In our case, it's really a patient decision journey. So we're starting out with looking at the readings, perhaps, because we want to focus on those. The assigned readings, there are going to be some in perusal, one not. So the one not is fairly short. That's why it's not a perusal. But there are 2 here. This one is about value as the key concept in the healthcare system. Read that one because it's part of the discussion question. So it's dual use in this particular case. And that's obviously about value. And then the second piece is about the customer or consumer decision journey. So those are going to be our assignments this week. That's why we're reading these things this week. So that's why everything in the readings are due this week, week 2. So going back to maybe the instructional content then. So I do have a lot of instructional content in here. That means they're recorded lectures, and it's about value, creating a value proposition statement, marketing services, because they're different. We'll talk about that. Consumer decision-making journey, and or how consumers make decisions, then the journey they take, because that's going to be part of our assignment, and how healthcare decision-making is different. And I'm sure you probably are aware of that by now. The other reading is not in perusal, and I should have covered that. I'm doing that now. It's in something called SCIM. So SCIM is really a research organization, and they developed this kind of process, which I kind of liked. It's a 3-step process, which I'm going to talk to you about in the class session, and there's a template that will lead you through that for the assignment. So read that as well. It's a really, really short reading. For our assignments this week, week 2, we have a discussion question, and that discussion question goes to that reading. Value is the key concept in the healthcare system. That's in perusal. And what you have to do is after you read that particular article, you need to think about the project that you're working on. That's why it's important to look at the material from the projects, the senior design projects. What are they? And so if you aren't clear about what those are, you should read that and or get with someone who did that project in GMHA 601. They're in your class, likely, so maybe talk to them as well if they're not on your team. So After that, determine and describe what you believe is the true value delivered by that project. Is it biological, emotional slash psychological, or economical, or a mix of those three? So there can be other benefits, of course, but these are the three that these authors identify in terms of value in the healthcare system. So that's why we're using that. Then, of course, you have to answer to or respond to two other students in your class. Now, the assignment that's due this week, it's really due on the 29th. So that'll be due the same. You're going to present this as well. So present it in a PowerPoint presentation. But you're going to develop a value proposition in 3 steps using the SCIM methodology, and I'll review that again in class. But the template is pretty straightforward. There are only 3 things on it. What's the introduction? That's the problem in the words of your target market. Like first person, I have a problem of whatever. And then how is that solution meeting that problem? And then the third section is reasons to believe, or what we call RTBs, reasons to believe. And they are really substantive points that clarify how this solution will solve that particular problem. So that's the value proposition. And then the customer decision journey, or consumer decision journey, patient decision journey, can be a lot of different things, or called a lot of different things. So I have it up here in this particular template, and this template has several different templates in it. One is kind of a standardized approach. This is kind of familiar: awareness, consideration, and decision. And then what are the customers feeling, thinking and feeling? What's their action, and what are they researching, and how will you as an organization, the marketers, move them from one stage to another? And then the second one is one where you can identify the steps. You don't need 5. You should have at least 3, but you can identify what those are. And it has very similar things in terms of moving from feeling to action. And then the third one is really kind of like a sales focus, personal sales, to identify sales leads. What's the lead thinking, feeling, or doing? And they move them from stranger to subscriber to what's called an MQL. That's a market qualified lead, then opportunity demo, and then deal closed. So you can use any one of those. You can use something different as well, but it should have those steps in it that someone is going through in their journey. So I do have a couple of examples here from students who did this previously with their senior design projects. These are a couple years old, of course. So they have a value proposition. Here's the problem, the solution, and an RTB. And then they have a little bit of background here, but customer decision journey, and they've done their own journey: initial consideration, active evaluation, moment of purchase, post-purchase experience, and loyalty loop. So this is another common one with a loyalty loop associated with it, and you might see those in textbooks if you picked it up. But you can also just find that if you do an internet search too. And then there's another example here that I put in here, and you can take a look at this as something you might want to consider as well. This is so they start out with consumer value proposition, problem. So this one's interesting because this problem is from the point of view of the practitioner, a hand surgeon, and that's fine too. It can be from any. Usually you have to have more than one value proposition. So this is the appropriate way to do it. As a hand surgeon, I typically see, so it's in the words of your target. And here's the solution, and then reasons to believe. And then they did a customer decision journey like this. But they should have stages represented in here. So again, some things due from week 1 that have transferred into week 2, and then of course the week 2 assignments as well.